1st, 2018, and it requires cities and counties where housing production has not matched the housing element targets to use a streamlined ministerial review process for qualifying multifamily residential projects. Ministerial review is based on compliance with set objective standards and cannot involve subjective judgment and discretionary approval. So we wouldn't be able to bring these projects in front of the Planning Commission or the City Council for approval. Senate Bill 330 went into effect on January 1st, 2020, and it provides that a qualifying housing development project is only subject to the ordinances, policies, and standards adopted and in effect when a preliminary application is submitted, which occurs at the outset of the entitlement process. In addition, it also prohibits agencies from holding more than 5 hearings, public meetings concerning the project, and prohibits adopting zoning or general plan policies that lessen the intensity of housing. So no down zoning. So what are objective design standards? The government code defines it as standards that involve no personal or subjective judgment by a public official and are uniformly verifiable by reference to an external and uniform benchmark. So they're intended to make the requirements that apply to these eligible residential projects more predictable and easier to interpret for all stakeholders, including decision makers, staff, applicants, and members of the public. So the purpose of them is for applicants to know beforehand what requirements apply before submittal. And we have an example of objective design standard, which would be the ground floor of a mixed-use building shall have a minimum floor height of 12 feet measured from finished ground floor to the bottom of the finished second floor. So this is a standard that is measurable and it's verifiable. The objective design standards will address items such as site design, building mass, articulation, lighting, open space, and similar design characteristics. As part of the environmental review, a mitigated negative declaration addendum to the previously adopted 2021-2029 housing element MND was prepared in accordance with section 15164 of the CEQA guidelines. The project will not result in a greater environmental impact than analyzed in the approved housing element mitigated negative declaration. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt the attached resolution for approval of zone reclassification number 328 and an addendum to a mitigated negative declaration, and adopt the attached resolution for approval of zone code amendment number 190. And this concludes staff's presentation. We're happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Thank you for that presentation. Any questions for my colleagues?
No question. Very good.
I appreciate that. It's now appropriate to close the public hearing.
I'll move, Mr. Mayor.
And as previously moved, Councilmember Garcia, and seconded by, if we can have that second,
Sure, second.
and second by Mayor Pro Tem Lara. And can we have a roll call? Madam City Clerk?
Council members, Dr. Sanchez.
Councilmember Dr. Sanchez, if you kindly unmute.
Oh, this is not.
Thank you. I vote aye. The host must unmute me. I'm not able to unmute myself.
Very good. Your vote was received.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Garcia?
Yes.
Councilmember Camacho?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lara?
Yes.
Mayor Lutz?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, which is public comment. And again, these comments are on agenda items. And And Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comment, written or otherwise?
There were no comments received today.
All right, very good. Moving on to the consent calendar, items 2 through 14.
I make a motion.
Mayor Pro Tem motions, and
Second.
we have a second by Councilmember Garcia. Madam City Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Council members, Dr. Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Camacho,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lara,
Yes.
Mayor Lutz.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you for that. Now moving on to regular agenda, and that is item number 15. Approve the Pico Rivera Innovative Municipal Energy, known as Prime Power Choice Solar and Battery Residential Program. And I understand that we have a presentation.
Our Office of Sustainability. This is a very exciting program that we want to present to you. It's a great public-private partnership between two other entities, and I'll turn it over to Victor.
Thank you, Director. The floor is all yours.
Excellent. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. I am excited to present this item that was originally brought as a first look at a residential solar battery solution for Pico Rivera residents. Tonight, staff seeks the City Council's direction on a potential partnership to bring this program home. Lastly, representatives from CalChoice and Participate Energy are here tonight to answer any detailed questions you may have. The Power Choice program is a distributed microgrid program that facilitates solar and batteries accessibility to prime customers through no upfront cost and no credit checks. Price stability at approximately 14 cents per kilowatt hour with a 1.9% escalator over 25 years. To provide a comparison, rates shot up approximately 30% this year, where through this program, participants can expect rate increases capped at 1.9% per year. Participants can also expect no cost on operations and maintenance. Tesla and Participate Energy takes care of this over the 25-year contract period. Participants can also expect reliable backup power that we call resiliency, specifically during power outages. So what is a distributed microgrid? A distributed microgrid is a local energy system that consists of multiple energy sources to reliably, resiliently, and sustainably supply energy to a community. In this instance, the program aims to gain several participants to install multiple solar and battery systems. These are the energy sources to sustainably power the homes. This is to reduce dependency on the grid. The illustration on this slide depicts the grid on the left side of the broken red line, which entails a traditional energy producer that generates energy, delivers energy via power lines to then be used by a consumer or customer. On the right hand of the broken red line, however, is a homeowner with solar panels and a battery system that generates sufficient energy to power their home and fill their battery, thus limiting any interaction with the grid. In this slide, illustrates the resilient structure of the Power Choice program, where in each illustration, you will notice the energy producers at the top of each of the illustrations, consumers at the bottom, and Prime as a seller of the energy in the middle. You will also notice three types of homes. If we look on each slide from the left hand, we'll call that number 1, followed 2, and then 3. You will see that the first home has a solar and battery system. The second home has solar panels only. And the third home depicts a traditional home without any solar equipment. The top left picture illustrates a scenario during daytime hours when energy rates are low due to an abundance of energy sources and low demand. In this scenario, the home with solar plus energy generates sufficient energy to power the home and fill the battery at approximately 14 cents per kilowatt hour. The home with solar panels generates power for the home and may sell any excess energy back to the grid. And the sell really is in a form of a credit. The traditional home without any equipment consumes energy 100% from the grid. The bottom left picture illustrates a scenario during the evening hours when energy rates spike due to high demand. This is when people return home from work or school. The home with solar plus battery has very little to no interaction with the grid as it utilizes the energy stored in the battery earlier in the day. The home with solar panels can no longer produce energy as there is no longer any sun and relies on energy from the grid at a premium price. The home with no equipment, again, consumes 100% of the energy from the grid at a premium price. Finally, the bottom right picture illustrates a scenario where there is a power outage, which are common during summer heat events. As a matter of fact, the state has already called for 3 demand response events, which are calls to reduce energy consumption to avoid said power outages. And this has happened so far this summer. In the scenario where the power outage occurs, all the homes are without power. However, the home with solar and energy is unaffected. This is the resiliency element of the program. Under this potential partnership, Tesla would provide the infrastructure and maintenance over the life of the agreements. Participate Energy would finance the equipment and operation and maintenance. And the city of Pico Rivera, through Prime, would lend its credit worthiness to ensure the no credit check to Prime customers and would also market the program to Prime Pico Rivera residents. Through the previous slides, we could probably see why this program was created. This program provides stability in pricing through an initial approximate 14 cents per kilowatt hour with a 1.9% escalator over 25 years. It provides resiliency, specifically during power outages, participants will continue with power. It allows Prime to meet its renewable energy portfolio requirements, which are set by the state. And it furthers equity through the democratization of solar equipment by giving access to customers that would not otherwise qualify. Now, I know this slide is quite busy, but I want to draw your attention to the bottom line. Not that bottom line. Okay, so staff, PE, and CalChoice conducted a cost-benefit analysis comparing 4 scenarios, where the assumption is that non-power choice energy rates increase at 4.5% per year. The first column, no system, is a look at a household with no solar system. This home during a 25-year period consumes approximately $109,000 worth of energy. And because there is no solar system, there are no net energy savings. So this will be the baseline. The second scenario is a household that purchases the system outright with cash. This household experiences approximately $57,600 in savings. However, there are very few households with this cash on hand to make a $43,000 purchase on these systems. The third scenario relates to a loan that assumes a 10% interest, which is common for these types of purchases. In this scenario, the household sees a $36,600 savings. However, this is assuming that a customer has the credit rating or credit worthiness to qualify for the loan. Finally, the fourth scenario looks at the Prime Power Choice program. This program captures the monthly fee of $115 per month to participate in the program, along with the associated energy rate of approximately 14 cents per kilowatt hour with a 1.9% escalator over the 25-year period. The program participant experiences $35,000 in savings, all through a no upfront cost, no credit check program. As we can see, this program may not be the best solution for everyone. However, it does provide a solution for those without an abundance of cash on hand or credit needed. Staff also looked at program compatibility amongst energy users and found that consumers utilizing less than 569 kilowatt hours per month may not benefit from the program and its savings. The chart above compares the rates of the Power Choice program and SCE and prime rates. For full transparency and to set the right expectations, the chart illustrates that participants can expect to break even or see slight savings during years 1 through 5. However, after year 5, the gap between the rates grows significantly. This is due to the rate structure of the program set at 14 cents per kilowatt hour with a 1.9% escalator. In terms of how can a resident participate in the Power Choice program, a Pico Rivera resident must first be enrolled in Prime. The Prime customer would then be able to enter their information via Tesla.com or possibly the city's website. Based on the information entered, Tesla would design and install the system, Participate Energy would purchase the equipment from Tesla, and Prime would purchase the wholesale energy from Participate Energy and sell the energy to the customer. Finally, staff recommends that the City Council authorize the City Manager to negotiate and execute the proposed Power Choice Program agreements in a form acceptable by the City Attorney. CalChoice, Participate Energy, and I are here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any questions from my colleagues? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I just want to go back to the cost benefit, the matrix that you have. I just want to compare the no system to the Prime Power Choice and exclude the middle two. So on this grid, this assumes that someone's using a household is using $204 a month, right, in energy? Just typical, right? Like just an average representation of what.
Yeah.
And then, if someone goes along with this system, has the solar panels installed, the battery installed, how much they're paying $206? What's the 2%? What that 2% per year increase, or 1.9%? What is that based off? Is it based off the 206 or is it based off the 89? No.
It's part of the tariff, so the structure.
Go to.
I ask because I'm gonna have to explain this to other people.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. So the way that the structure of this program is that the generation from the asset that is on the residential home is sold to Prime, and then Prime, through a specific tariff at the 14 cents approximately that Victor was talking about, that customer pays that price. So the 1.9% escalator is against that 14.5 cent cost per kilowatt hour of usage.
So which line is that on this? Is that the 206, the 89, the $2, or the 150?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the energy from the, where
System.
the system. Yeah, energy from the system is where it's coming from. So that's from on the 89.
So residents could expect to see a 2% increase off that charge.
That's right. And the idea is that the 1.9 or 2% increase is on the price of the energy from the system. But we modeled in 3% for the utility rate inflation. So the more time that goes on where the utility's going up at 3% and this is 2%, the bigger your savings. But I think we said it before maybe, but there was a 20 to 30% increase this year alone in utility rates, which is far in excess. So these numbers only get better if actual utility rate inflation is higher than our 3% baseline.
My other question is, so the 115, the power choice payment, is that a steady rate?
Yes.
Okay,
That is
that's
a
not-
steady
That's
rate.
not going to change. The $2 energy from the grid, is that a steady rate?
So what that's saying is, if you ever had to buy energy from the grid, it's very expensive to make sure that you're always getting energy from solar and batteries. So every home gets an analysis done, and it creates kind of an optimal system size to minimize that number. So we're trying to minimize the purchase from the grid. We're also trying to minimize the amount of electricity that goes back to the grid from your solar system, because with the new NEM 3 interconnection tariff, you actually get penalized when you send energy back to the grid and then take it back. So we're trying to minimize those negative impacts.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have a couple of questions, 3 or 4, but easy ones. But if we can kindly bring back up that on screen, the cost benefit by alternative, the grid that has examples 1, 2, 3, and 4. And while we're bringing that up, the total cost of the hardware, is that loan on the home, follows the home if the home is sold, or the loan follows the individual?
So if it's a loan, which is not our program, that is simply for comparison,
Sure.
it's important to note that this is a non-exclusive program. So any other way that people want to go solar is excellent. This is just an offer from Prime in the city.
Sure.
So when you do a traditional loan, typically what happens is, if it's kind of, when a new buyer comes in, that loan is typically retired as part of the sale of the house.
Paid off with the sale of the home, and now the new homeowner has no debt associated with the solar panels.
It typically gets rolled into their mortgage, so it's just a different form of debt. It combines it as the house is bought.
Okay, so again, the question is, the loan follows the property?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's talk benefits now. So someone that takes advantage of this opportunity is able to have Tesla solar batteries. So if there is a brownout, they will not experience the brownout like their neighbors will, because they have batteries storing energy, and they can continue uninterrupted electricity to their home.
Correct.
Got it. And then the other benefit too, if someone wanted to finance this hardware, the city of Pico Rivera acts as the guarantor, uses its credit worthiness so that the individual or the homeowner can acquire this hardware without a credit check. Is that correct?
So I think the statement earlier was that, or at least the assumption that the program is a loan, right? The program in this instance is not a loan. There isn't a loan or secured against the property. This is a 25-year agreement that, if I could go back to that question of how it carries over in case the house is sold, right? In that instance, and feel free to elaborate more on that, if a property owner, homeowner wants to sell that home, they could transfer the remaining commitment of that agreement over to the next, or over to the home buyer. Otherwise, the option would be to purchase the system outright.
Okay, so the homeowner has the ability to purchase the system outright or pay off the debt.
No, sorry.
Over-
Yeah, let me clarify. I apologize. So the loan option is not our offer. We
Sure.
only have that there to compare against what our offer is. Our offer is essentially a tariff, like you were buying retail energy.
Sure.
So when somebody moves out of that house, the next tenant simply takes over the payments. There's no retirement of debt, there's no payoff.
Sure.
They simply step into the shoes of paying the 14.5 cents. Yeah.
And then eventually there is a sunset to the money being paid in that tariff. And at that point, the hardware is paid off?
At
Or
that
not?
point, because this is a PPA or a power purchase agreement.
Sure.
So at that point, the system is now 25 years old.
Sure.
And Participate Energy has an obligation to come remove that system, or the homeowner can buy it at what is called fair market value, which is kind of tax law. You can't have a fixed buyout price. So we say in the future, in 25 years, you can either have Participate Energy come grab it, or we'll tell you what the buyout number is, and you can choose to do it, but you don't have to.
Got it. And as energy prices continue to go up over the years, the benefits of a prime customer that utilizes these Tesla solar panels will have a reduced rate compared to the neighbor who doesn't. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that yield will be available after year 5? That'll be a noticeable yield?
So the savings is dependent on how much energy you use.
Sure.
The more energy you use, typically the bigger the savings. So there will be people that save money from day one. It's only the smaller the system you go that you could be a little bit negative in savings in the beginning, and then you overcome that in the future. Again, this is all an option. So when a homeowner is interested, we'll provide that analysis, and they can make the decision if they want to move forward.
Very good. Okay. All right.
The cost analysis is just based on averages, and as Stephen said, each individual homeowner and their family, how they use their energy will impact their bill every month, just like it does now, as well as the savings going forward. But these are averages for the area.
I like the option to Pico Rivera residents, whereas they never did have the option to have solar panels as well as the batteries, because that is the complete system that allow them to have some potential savings. It's not for all, but it is an opportunity for savings, and we all like savings. Yeah,
That's right.
great. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
And if I can get a motion for my colleagues.
I'll move, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Council.
Second.
Yes, Councilmember Garcia motioned, and we have a second from Mayor Pro Tem Lara. Madam City Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Dr. Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Camacho,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lara,
Yes.
Mayor Lutz.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you for that. And Mr. City Manager, do we have any city manager reports for today?
Mayor, City Council, just a quick update. As you know, we've been very successful at getting grants. I think to date, over the last 2 to 3 years, we have about $70.5 million of grants that the City of Pico Rivera has received. I think Pam has some good news. I think we were a recipient of another grant, and we also have at least 12 and a half in the pipeline, and hopefully those will be successful as well. Pam?
Great. It's been hard to keep this a secret for the last 24 hours because I wanted to go crazy and text a few people, but Steve said we should do a surprise. So I just am fairly excited to say that we were a recipient of the CAL FIRE grant yesterday, which is going to kickstart our Ruben Salazar High School project. And I know Javier Hernandez, our Director of Communication Innovation, has some really cool ideas with that. So we got the notice yesterday, so it's either 2.5 or 3.5 million. They're not telling us until next week. But that's the seed money that we've been waiting for and trying to get, so I'm really excited about that.
Great, thanks Pam for that.
Good job.
And really quick, Noe, could you just give council a quick overview? Because on one of the consent items, we rejected all bids. Just to understand the rationale why we did that and the game plan moving forward.
Sure. I'll try to talk loud enough. Number one, it came in higher than we wanted it to be, obviously. That was the main reason. And after reviewing the bids, what we decided to do is actually break up the two projects that we combined as one, thinking that a bigger project would give us a lower price. That was one of the reasons why we think it came in at a higher price, because of limited labor force. So we're going to rebid it as two separate projects. it can still be the same company that gets both, but we're trying to see if a smaller project would be better for the labor market. Also, we had a really tight time frame because of the grant. And happy to report to you that we did get an extension from the state. Staff worked really hard the last 2 weeks to get that in writing, as you can imagine. And we think we were paying a premium because of the amount of time that was required. We have several contractors that have been called and said they weren't going to bid on the project because they didn't think they could complete within the time frame. Those are a couple of things that we're looking at. Obviously, we're trying to sharpen our pencil. I wish I could tell you the prices are going to come in lower. I really can't. We can just only try to package it differently and hope that it do come in lower. But as you know, this market, in today's material prices and labor, everything is significantly higher than we want. Anything else?
Thanks for that, Noe. And then just a quick reminder, I believe our Go-Getters game is coming up, so
Yeah.
get your mitts ready.
Yes, and the teams beat the go-getters, so I'm hoping that we do better too.
Great. That concludes my reports.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. I appreciate that. All right. Yes, thank you. All right, and now moving on to good of the order, AB 1234, reports, new business and old business. And do we have any items, starting with Councilmember Garcia?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I do want to report on AB 1234. I attended the NALEO conference. Also had a chance to go to Washington, D.C. And with NALEO, I want to say that it was probably one of the most informative and well-executed conferences that I've ever attended. I really appreciate the opportunity to attend, as well as Washington, D.C., and amazing work that the team had put together with all those congressional and state meetings. I appreciate the hard work of the team and my colleagues with all their support as well. I do just want to announce and thank the staff for the 4th of July celebration. It was amazing. Again, like always, beautiful event, great entertainment, good service throughout our Rancho High School. I do want to acknowledge Parks and Recreation Month, an opportunity to attend that little luncheon over at the golf course, well put together. I had an opportunity to attend the Sheriff's 50th anniversary on a very hot Sunday. It was a great event. And finally, I attended an event with other elected officials in surrounding cities and Supervisor Janice Hahn on homelessness, just to get another idea of what's going on and what resources are in the general area, and attended our Veterans Commission meeting here in this very room. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Garcia. Mayor Pro Tem?
Great, thank you. I came back because I was reminded that I think it's best to report out on maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 items. I just want to acknowledge that I went along with staff to Washington, D.C. It was a great trip. We managed to meet with several of our legislators, managed to meet with staff. We pushed projects that we feel are transformative for the community. Things that you can't necessarily do here, you have to go there, you have to talk to staff members, you have to get guidance, you have to be told, hey, maybe you might want to pick up this paper and turn this in. Things that you won't get back home. It was good to be with my colleagues. We shared a lot. It was good just to get to know each other a little bit more on a personal level too. I enjoyed that. There's been multiple events that I've attended over the past, feels like a few months. The Sheriff's 50th anniversary there at Pico Rivera, it was nice to see I managed to take a picture with the first female captain and also our current female captain. I thought that was nice. That was a piece of history that you don't necessarily see. I've also had some discussions with the city manager about crime that's taking place. We're looking at different items that can be put in place that we think that can also help us aid with some crime. But otherwise, and this Thursday I have a meeting with the Southeast Water Coalition. I look forward to attending that and then coming back and reporting back. But thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And Council Member Dr. Sanchez. AB 123 reports, new business and old business.
Hello, thank you. I do want to report for AB 1234. I was able to attend the NALEO, the National Association of Latino Elected Officials conference in New York City on July 10th through 13th. And it was wonderful. I attended workshops related to housing and as well as the fentanyl crisis. And I would like to request maybe perhaps the city and the sheriffs, we can work with each other to see what we can do to help address this, preventing overdose in the community as well as the issues that are going on throughout the nation and the world. So I thought that was a really important issue for us. I also attended the advocacy visits in Washington, D.C., and we were able to meet with Representative Grace Napolitano, our Congresswoman Linda Sanchez, so many other members. We had a great visit. We were able to go to the White House, Department of Transportation, and meet with a lot of staff. So we have a lot of prospects, and we did a lot of work, but unfortunately, I came back with COVID, and so that's why I'm here at home. But I'm fine, I'm feeling better, and I hope to be at the Go-Getters game on Saturday. I'll see how my energy level is, but I'll hope to be there on Friday, right? Friday morning. I also wanted to announce we're going to have a backpack giveaway on August 8th at the park for all, preschool to any student that needs a backpack from 2 to 4. If you have more information, Pam, and a flyer coming out soon, I believe. And then that's the only information I have right now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Councilmember Camacho.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to also report on AB 1234. Attended the annual conference as well with my colleagues, and there was some very useful information that was provided, well planned, well attended, and so these are items that we discussed in the sessions that they have about workforce development, as mentioned, the fentanyl crisis, electrification of growing alternative trends, small business and entrepreneurship, and securing our critical infrastructure, amongst many other innovations in the technology world for policymaking. It was well attended, and definitely wanted to attend next year as well as recommended. I too had a great time in DC, very productive with my colleagues, and looking forward to that ongoing mitigation of the Winter Dam Safety Improvement Project, amongst other things. And lastly, just looking forward to the Go-Getters game as well, and wanting to invite everyone to our Summerfest concerts that are coming up. We have a great lineup, and look forward to seeing everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I, too, wanted to report AB 1234 reports. We did attend the entire council, our city manager and our director of innovation. We attended and we pursued our advocacy trip in Washington, D.C., and I have to say that it was very positive, and that's all because of the behind-the-scenes efforts that all of our staff have been doing. So we really do appreciate, and looks like we have the support of our congressional members and as well as our Senate. So time will tell. We are persistent in making our dream of Pico Rivera 2035 a reality, and by golly, it will become a reality. So we did have a great time there, and we actually spoke to a lot of individuals there that gave us a lot of pointers to get us that much closer to improving our community. And rightly so, our businesses and our residents deserve that. I also have some additional great news. Earlier today, we met with fellow mayors in the congressional district of our Representative Linda Sanchez, and she does this to find feedback from the cities that she reports to and brings dollars. And she brought $850,000 to the city of Pico Rivera for our Whittier Paseos project. And that is basically those alleys that are just north of Whittier Boulevard, where we intend to modernize that and put shops and stores for people to walk through that current alley that is just simply for car usage, but now we'll likely have in the future stores and restaurants and make our neighborhood and our uptown part of Pico Rivera a destination city. So with that, I also want to thank our Parks and Recs department for doing a fantastic job as always with that 4th of July celebration. We have one of the greatest cities that we live in, and of course it's housed in one of the greatest countries in the world. Yes. And with that, I do want to congratulate our Pico Rivera Sheriff's Department for doing an outstanding job with the outreach in the community and that positive bond that's been created. So Sergeant Valenzuela, thank you for being here on behalf of our Captain Jody Hutak. And with that, prior to going to our closed session, I do want to adjourn in memory of our longtime resident, Tyrone Jimenez. And if we can kindly bow our heads in memory of our longtime resident, Tyrone Jimenez. And Mr. City Attorney, can you kindly take us to closed session?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Tonight we have 3 items on closed session. The first item is conference with real property negotiators, and the government code section is 54956.8, and it relates to property that's listed as APN numbers on the agenda. Item 2 is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to government code 5956.9, subsection D4, potential initiation of litigation, one matter. And the last one is conference with labor negotiators pursuant to government code 54957.6. And the agency representatives are the city manager and the assistant city manager and human resources director. And the agency is the Service Employees International Union Local 721 part-time.
Thank you.